Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Vito X DINO podcast. This is episode 77. My name is Vito Delsante. His name is Dean Haspiel.
Hi, everyone. I'm Dean Haspiel. Airport 77.
Oh, excuse me.
Star Wars 1977.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, yeah.
What's the third 77? Is there a Yankee who had the number 77?
Well, the
No.
blackout of 77.
Blackout of 77. There's
You
been
don't
a
remember the
few.
blackout?
Well,
It's
that's
not
not
a
the Summer
movie.
Sam. That's not Summer Sam.
No, I think that's 78 or 79.
Was there a blackout during that too, or am I crazy?
I mean, there were probably smaller blackouts, but
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah, yeah.
blackout was in 77. Do you want to hear a funny little anecdote about the blackout of 77?
What?
Um, there was they were filming Superman, which came out in
Mhm.
78, uh, right around the time of the blackout. And Richard Donner, for years, thought that the reason why the blackout happened was because of all the Klieg lights and all the stuff that they were using on the streets to film.
Mm-hmm.
He thought
Mm-hmm.
that he blew the transformer.
Right, right. Well, I mean, I understand, So, in fact, I feel like it's going to happen this weekend.
I read something interesting just a few minutes ago that Mitch McConnell is like in between life and death. Harvey Weinstein just had heart failure in prison, and Donald Trump's planning on giving his longest speech outside on the hottest day of the year. So we
Please,
might get a
please do that.
trifecta.
Please, please do that. In fact, I've seen videos of apparently there was some party happening on the lawn in Washington
Yeah, yeah.
and
The
nobody's there.
yeah, the state fair, the
Right.
something celebrated like it's dumb.
Well, the reason why we're mentioning how it could be a blackout is because it's I think it's 97 degrees right now here in Brooklyn.
Yeah, it's
And
about
by the way, do you see
92.
where I'm at? I'm back in my studio, even though it's daytime, but I am no longer at Yaddo right
But
now.
what's funny is it almost like when you look at the previous 3, 4 episodes that we did while you were at Yaddo and look here, it's almost like you intentionally decorated your studio to remind you of Yaddo. It's just all white.
It's all white. Yeah, yeah. It is all white here. It's funny because I was just looking at old pictures of Deep Six, the
Yeah,
Deep Six studio in Gowanus nearby, and we used to put all kinds of artwork up and posters
yeah,
and
yeah,
drawings and I have like a little rope, a string of my deep
yeah,
cut comics here, and that's it. Like we don't put anything up, and I think it's also because it gets cluttered, and also my home is so cluttered that
yeah.
I like coming here and it's like a little bit of more of a white space, as it were.
Speaking of home, Dean, did you get your birthday present? Okay, let's do it.
Do we do it now or do we
Yeah, do it now.
last?
Do it now.
Do it now. So you sent this to me. I think I received this in my home maybe a day or two after I left for Yaddo
Right.
over a month ago.
Yeah, I sent it. I didn't send it. I ordered it right before your birthday, but it showed up, I think, the day that you left.
So it's been sitting, and then you wanted me to open it when I got home. I was like, no, 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 I'm going to open this. What is this? Is that like a tab?
No, so whenever those uh polymail envelopes, that's the thing that goes on the sticky side. It probably got stuck on there.
What do you mean?
Like
But
the
it
the
actually
adhesive.
is oh, I see. All right, well, I'm just going to cut it open and sit
Yeah,
here.
there's not nothing to
Now,
be precious about.
it feels like without knowing, it doesn't feel like a book or a movie or a CD. It feels like it could be a toy.
Maybe.
So I'm pulling this out now.
Okay.
Oh my God. That's insane. Look at this. I don't know if you can see in the light. It's
Yeah, I
dark
can see
side.
it.
You got a big old dark side. Based on whose design?
I think Todd McFarlane did that.
Come on. That's he designed it, you mean?
Yeah.
Came up with Todd's Mod. See, I don't know a lot of these toys. Oh, it's 12 ages 12 and up.
Hey, we made it.
We made it. I always say I'm a 12-year-old, basically.
I mean,
Oh my God. And they got him with his arms behind his back because that's actually the scariest thing about Darkseid is when he walks around with his arms behind his back.
mm,
Like I'm trying to think where Jack Kirby originally got that from, like what movie or story, or maybe he experienced a human being like that. You know, this is awesome. It's gonna go with well, you know who's gonna go with? This is perfect. So we have Dark Side. We got
Ah,
Silver Surfer. Hold on, two more. Well, three more. We got Bootsy Collins.
not quite a Kirby curation, but
But dude, this is like the team forming right now. And I'm gonna add, and then we got
hell yeah.
Dr. Funkenstein, George Clinton, and then team leader. You ready? You'll never guess in a million years. Team leader,
Albert Einstein. Ah, yeah, of
B.
course.
Arthur. And look at this picture, this cover from People magazine. It's absurd.
I am currently, as are you. We are both currently older than she was in that picture.
Oh yeah, yeah, I know.
She's like 40 in that picture.
She's probably, well, I remember when she first did Maud, I think she was supposed to be 47 or something like that, but in her
Uh,
40s, right? Which is like, how's that the lead of a TV show back
number
then?
one.
You know, which is incredible.
And
But
her
yeah, I'm going to
40.
add Darkseid to this cosmic force, this team that I've been curating here. Pretty amazing, huh?
Yeah, I was
Thank
like,
you.
you're welcome. Happy birthday. Late.
Thank you.
I was like, I don't think he's got, I didn't know about the Silver Surfer. So I was like, I don't think he's got Kirby representation on his desk. And I was like, I
Oh,
gotta get him something, so.
yeah, I don't accept now when I look over here, I feel like no, I think that's about it. Like that's what I got right now. I do have. I think Krista Casano got me a action figure of the Thing,
Mm.
so I have a version of that. But do they have Jack Kirby like modeled toys, like based on his designs, actual his art style?
I
Do you know
don't
what I mean?
think so. I mean, other than maybe they made some in the 60s, because I know that Nick Papora had these uh blacklight prints that they made like in the 80s that
Hmm.
were all like, and he had the suite, he had the Fantastic Four, uh
Hmm.
Doctor Doom, I think Silver Surfer. I think there
Hmm.
was, might have been one more, but I can't remember. But I think that's close. But I don't know if they
Hmm.
made, like, maybe an
Hmm.
Iron Man. It seems like they would have made a model of.
Right, right. I mean, I feel like the Mego toys were a little
Yeah,
close to Kirby, right?
yeah.
But I do feel like the more Kirby, more people know about Jack Kirby and Steve Ditko and all the artists that basically wrote the stories they drew. Um, uh, their designs alone are pretty
Mhm.
amazing. In fact, we were having a discussion about Spider-Man 1000 uh, um, a week ago, maybe, or whatever. And like, I'm curious to know how many artists are getting to do a 1000 cover of Spider-Man.
I just
You
saw
know,
Eric Larson posted
I
his. It
just saw
looks
Eric Larson too, and it had shades of Ditko in a
very
way, but in the Larson style, of
good. Mhm.
course. Kind of makes me want to do one. Although I did kind of do one with Superman that I've shown before, where
Mhm.
Spider-Man's hugging Superman on his body.
Yeah.
So I wanted to briefly, because I mentioned Yaddo, I have a little note here. So my last night at Yaddo after a month long, retreat was a big gala party for to raise funds for Yaddo. And I
Mhm.
believe they raised $200,000 that night. But they converted the mansion into its old way of being, like a party place. And it was
Yeah.
incredible to see 500 people hanging out, and people who go to the horse race, or they're Saratoga, locals, and people who do well and also are patrons of the arts.
Mhm.
And like, I was felt like it was my job to represent like one of the artists that was a resident at the time there. And I met a couple of really cool people, and there was this older gentleman who just turned 80 that day. And I was looking at his face, he had this little smirk on his face. I was like, what are you smiling about?
Ah,
Where'd you get that smile? And I started talking to him, and he was one of the benefactors of us, artists. And he had and I said, well, what are you doing nowadays? He said, I just wrote my first book
oh,
80. I was like, that is awesome.
oh man.
Like, and I think that like it was like really like thrilling for him to be at a place like Yaddo. And then there was this like, performances, and it was a lot of fun. And I sat next to, and I got friendly with an actress from Tony Award winning play Liberation. God, what was her? Quickly, I'll just say her name. She's beautiful and really cool actress. Let me just go to, hold on a second here. Sorry, folks. And then there was an after party that I want to talk about. That was a lot of fun. Her name is, hold on. Audrey Corsa. Check out Audrey Corsa. She's
So
a very talented young actress.
when did the blood ritual take place is what I'm wondering.
Yeah, right. The blood ritual. That's going in. That's
I
going in.
figure, you know what's funny? It's just that like the way I don't want to say it's like a hippie-ish like commune or anything like that, but like in some ways it is, you know what I mean? So you're just like, oh, what's the dark undercurrent that's
Oh,
happening?
you know, it's funny you say that because I think I've mentioned this before, but one of the things I am is what's called a, I don't have to submit to go in. I did that the first three times or three or four times to get in, but then I became something what's called a SAP, which is a, what do you call it? Special assistant to the president,
Mm,
which basically is like an RA, like in college
yeah,
is an RA, like, but it's for on the campus with the, you know, the other artists. And like I tour when a new person comes in, we show them around, show them the ropes. And then sometimes if there are any questions that when the office isn't open, maybe I can answer it or, you know, kind of set the goalposts and also try to get people hanging out with each other.
right.
But SAP transitioned from its original name. Uh, so John Cheever, the writer who wrote The Swimmer, okay? And I think I mentioned this as well. Oh, there it is. That's Liberation.
Yep.
She's in that. So Audrey Corsa. So John Cheever, when he wrote The Swimmer and then got money for it to be turned into a movie with Burt Lancaster, thought, oh, Yaddo needs to have a pool. So he's the
Mhm.
guy who got the pool going, which is ironic because he wrote The Swimmer. But he also thought that the president needed some kind of an assistant. It would be a rotating assistant, whoever came in and out, you know, every few weeks or whatever. But his term was useful boy. Vito, I've got to write a play or a movie or something called
Please.
either Useful Boy or The Useful Boy. And I wanted to take place at a residency, you know, wink, wink.
Mhm.
And I need to figure this out. So I'm kind of getting inspired because the title alone, like you can call anybody that today. But I was like, we need to change it back to Useful Boy.
Do you know what's funny that you say that, like that exact sentence? We can't use that term today. 2 days ago, there was a baseball player, a pitcher from the Washington Nationals, who struck out a batter, and he said,
Mm-hmm.
"Sit down, boy." And the guy is like, you know, like his like he's a person of color. I'm not entirely sure where he's from,
Right.
but it's like somebody needs to like find this guy. Somebody needs to like find the organization. You don't just do that. Like
But
and
you know
like
what? But fine him and punish him. And like I get like it's an insult, but also it's also what's the intent and what's the context. Like if he was just like, boy, like you little bitch, you know, like less than me kind
but I
of
think
attitude.
that's the connotation of what
And
boy
if
is.
that was the connotation, it's like, dude, come on, don't do that. Slap him on the wrist. Tell him, you know, let it be a learning experience, you
Nah,
know?
let him get a hot poker up his ass. Let him.
Oh shit. Look
I,
at you.
I'm zero tolerance anymore, man. Like
I know you don't have I have a lot more tolerance. In fact, I'm gonna bring up something I watched last night that you may not watch. Anyway, we'll get to that in a minute. But I just want to wrap up my Yaddo thing. So we had this big party, having a lot of fun, and then Elena Richardson, who's the president, has been there for 26 years, but she's retiring, so they're looking for someone new, which is a shame because I love her and she's one of the best people ever, and she understands artists. She was like invited me to the after party at her house. Okay. Now,
the
I've been there
house that's on
before.
the campus grounds.
No, it's not. It's
Oh,
like 7 minutes away.
okay.
So the chosen few, as it were. So I grabbed the and I always like to what I like to do, Vito, as you know, even like when I've been invited to like Baltimore Comic Con to be a guest and I get a table, I'm like, can I bring other people? And I've
Yeah.
been doing that ever since. I was like, there were a couple newbies, and I was like, do you mind if I Lena, do you mind if I bring some of the folks? She's like, cool. So I told a couple of folks that were, you know, this is their first time and youngins, and I was like, you're gonna go to Lena Richards' house right now. And I had to also let them know. So she Well, they just sold it, so I guess I can say this. But she currently has a home in Harlem, is where Bob Dylan used to live and
Oh,
did one of his albums. I forget which one when he was living in Harlem.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that's where she's been living in New York, but they just sold it because it's too big. It's a big building, you know. But her home in Saratoga Springs is another like kind of famous home. Now it's either Meyer Lansky or I'm
Oh,
trying to think who's the other Jewish gangster? Rothstein? No. Does that sound right?
Rothstein was the guy that Casino was based on. Um,
Okay, I believe it was either Rothstein's or one of Meyer Lansky's place because the living room alone is like
mhm.
tall ceilings, but guess where the windows are? They're not where you usually see windows.
Are
They're
they
way
up?
up high. You know
Mhm.
why?
So
So
you
when the
can't
cops
shoot.
came by, they'd be like, I can't see in. And
Yeah.
apparently there's a bunch of rooms upstairs that are pretty small.
Oh boy.
So it's like a brothel and like a gambling casino, you know, and it's a gated space and
How
it's
do you
really,
buy
really
this
cool.
house? Like on a recommendation or?
I don't know. And I keep thinking, do you only live in famous places? Like,
Yeah,
what
yeah,
the
yeah.
hell? But what was really cool about the night is like, we continued to drink, and there were definitely some Pulitzer Prize winning, Tony Award winning talent there. And someone was like, yo, go bust out the synthesizer, go get the keyboard, you know? So me and Elena's husband, who's really cool, uh uh went like to the garage and I lifted up this like 100 pound like thing and I brought it over and we set it up. And then there's like one after another, people just like singing their awesome songs. And like, as we're getting, drunk, drunker, and just like being around really talented people. And then another composer came up and we were kind of like, come on, do something, do something. And he didn't really want to do anything, but he was like, all right, because like there was like maybe 15 of us or something. He was doing something where he was playing some kind of music, but then he would hit another note. And then the idea was everyone had to add a lyric and
Hmm.
make up a song. So he would go make a little music and then have a pause. And then he looked at the first person to his left and they had to suddenly come up with a lyric, right?
Like an
So he came
improv
up with
game.
something like an improv, right? And it went around the room. And like I'm sitting next to this beautiful singer who like she hummed something and some people might say something or try to sing a lyric. And I had to make up, I knew it was my turn next. I was like, what am I going to do? And I was more of like a William Shatner, kind of vibe. And I said something to the effect of, um, uh, if you feel like you're going to hurt or if you're feeling hurt, take off your shirt. Something like that. It was so corny and I could not help myself. And I was, of course, trying to rhyme, which is silly. And then it went around the room, but it was just a really fun impromptu type of thing of
Yeah.
people just hanging out with each other, and there's this Oscar award winning filmmaker in the corner. And like, it was really cool. And it finally culminated. Like, I thought it was going to end after that. And then Elena's like, let's play Mafia. And you know the game Mafia, right? Where it's a bunch of
Vaguely.
people and like two people, if there's enough people, two people are appointed to be the hitmen.
Mhm.
And then the town goes to sleep and the hitmen have to pick someone to kill.
The
And then
the
they,
it's very similar to a game called Werewolf, I think.
yeah,
Or
werewolf. I
Find the
think
Werewolf.
there's a Hitler one, like who's Hitler?
Hmm.
There's a game like that. But so then and I picked the killers well because they lasted the entire game. And I had to be the moderator. Like I was the guy that was doing all the talking and whatnot and trying to figure out who the killers were trying to kill and then who could see who once they were dead and all that stuff. It's a lot of fun when you have enough people.
Yeah, of
So
course.
anyway, it was like a great last night of like partying and just like being able to go into the inner sanctum and like just be part of this crew.
I
It's
have
it's a lot of fun.
I have two questions for you. Number one, is it an all year thing, Yaddo, or is it just the summer?
It used to close, I think, in September for they would shut down the mansion because the mansion wasn't heated, so it's starting to get cold.
Right.
And then I think the mansion would like reopen in the spring. So it reduces the amount of people that can go because there's other housing and other studio spaces.
Hmm.
But it meant that like you lost like, I don't know, six to maybe eight other residents or more with spaces. And now I believe so for some reason, and September was also the month where they would raise funds and have little parties.
Right, right.
Now it is all year round, but the mansion still kind of has to close down, even though they're doing a lot of repairs right now
Mhm.
to try to give it heat and air conditioning and all this other stuff for the winter and whatnot
So,
and summer.
that's a very good thing to know because I mean, if anybody's watching that's interested in applying and stuff, then now they know that they don't have to wait till next summer. Um,
Right, right, right.
the other question I had was more of a personal one. Do you feel a sense of loss now that you're not there? Do you know what I mean? Like almost like I liken it to going to camp, and camp is usually for like a week, and you make these very intense friendships very quickly, almost by like design. And then like you go home and you're just like, I don't see that person anymore. You know what I mean?
it,
Or
it is like, I mean, I've never been in Vietnam, and I always joke like it's like being in the trenches in Nam together when you've bonded over a very intense period of time.
right.
Um, but it's more like what you said, camp, which I've never done. I never went to camp, you know. But I it is intense, and like I remember if and I may have said on the show, like the last time I was at Yaddo 2 years ago, I left early because I didn't like the energy and the vibe
Mhm.
of the group. I mean, there were people I liked, but
Sure.
overall, I just felt like, you know what, it's time to go home. Whereas this time, it was time to go home, but I definitely had a really good time, you
Mhm.
know, like, and as I was relaying over the last 3 or 4 shows, you know, kind of updating, and it was really good. And then when I got home, I was like, oh my God, Vito, the amount of stuff I have. Like, imagine, I'm looking at your room right now, you're sitting in. Imagine
Yeah.
it was empty, except for what you're working on right now.
Yeah, no, I don't know how.
It would be like you're not looking at reference, you're not being inspired, you're not like ignoring the clutter that, you know, in order to get into the headspace. Like, imagine a space, and then you look out the window, and it's leaves and trees and like other artists and a pool and then food at a mansion. Like, come on, man.
Yeah, like I would imagine, like we said, like camp would be like the closest thing, but camp is usually a week long. Like a month is like you are living there. You know what I
It's
mean? Like,
transformative. A
yeah.
month is transformative. It's enough to be transformative. And I wrote a lot of stuff. You know, I wrote the main script for Antimatter #2 featuring
Mhm.
Billy Dogma. I finished writing a play, at least the first draft of a play. I wrote a couple of pitches and other little things. And like, yeah, man, it was very. And then I drew some, you know, down and dirty artwork, and like I wasn't really working on comics yet, but and I wrote a script for Charlie McKelvey, you know, like, so yeah, I did a lot of work, and I hung out, and I got to know people, and I saw presentations. I gave a presentation, you know, it's great. And like, it makes me want to just, not that I want to get rid of everything, but it's almost like you got to get rid of everything
Yeah.
if you're going to be present and continue to make something new. Because a lot of what, you know, when I was a young kid, I kept thinking, oh, I'll get old and I'll go watch all the old movies I love. Why? Watch new movies, do new things, you know, like,
Well,
as much as I
sometimes
love an old movie, you know.
sometimes old movies are new to you. Like I was
Well, no,
talking.
no, no, I don't mean, I mean the ones I've already seen. Like, why would I keep watching? It's because you love them, you
Yeah,
know.
and
and
you get
and
something. I was um I was on Reddit earlier, my like sometimes I love it, sometimes I hate it. And somebody had asked the question, what was it like to read The Dark Knight Returns in the 80s?
mm,
And I, wrote this long ass answer that no one's ever going to read. But
mm.
like basically I was, just like
You should Substack that anyway.
maybe I will. Like I want to do a
Yeah.
Substack on Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die.
Hmm.
Like about like the lesson that I took from it and stuff like that. And I think it's a really good book, really good movie. But the the point of me bringing it up is just that like I haven't like I can I'm guessing guesstimating maybe is a better word for it, but I'm guessing I've read Dark Knight Returns 6 times in my entire life,
Mm,
which isn't a lot,
mm-mm,
because like
mm-mm,
whenever we think of like I've probably read Watchmen at least 12,
mm-mm,
like in with Dark Knight Returns. I've also watched the animated movie that they did. I've done like a couple of absorbed it in different ways, I guess.
mm-mm,
But like I've only actually ever read it like 6 times.
mm-mm.
And it makes you think that like, oh well, maybe we don't absorb these things so much on the first read. So you do go back and you're like, well, I did enjoy it. So let me go.
Oh, there's always more. If something is this is not fair. If something's really good, you can always find more value in it, that you may have missed, but that's not necessarily true. But anyway, complex ideas always have stuff that you missed the first time, but
Right.
there is nothing like the first time you encounter something, though.
Oh, yo, no, no, no. That's
You
for sure.
know, and I'll say this: I probably have more encounters with a piece of work that at first I was like, it's okay. And then later on, it became amazing.
Mhm.
Like I became more appreciative and more appreciative to a lot of work that I got into later. And that might be a maturity thing or where I had bad lunch that day or something. Who knows?
I also don't think, you go into, not you specifically, but anybody, like you go into absorbing or, imbibing a certain work for the experience of critiquing and like, like picking it apart or anything. And I think,
That's
like when
just
people,
snobbery. I feel like that's a
yeah,
snob.
a little
The
bit,
minute you're indulging something and you're like, let me see if this is worth my while as I'm,
right. Like
experiencing it.
I don't agree with that. Like, I read something yesterday, like a comic yesterday, and I was like, this is poorly lettered. This is, like, but I was like, instead of picking all of the things apart, find the things that you find are worth going to the second part. You know what I mean? Like there's three parts of it. So I was like, all right, let me get through this first one so I can get to the second part. And I'm like, second part improves. And then third part improves. And I'm like, okay. Like so it's like
You're being forgiving. You're being forgiving
I
on
think that's
craft
what
at that point.
everybody needs to do whenever they're taking in something for the first time.
Right.
Like I think that, on the other side of it, something like The Dark Knight Returns or Watchmen or Mouse or Daredevil Born Again or any of these seminal works that speak to what comics are, you go in with the expectation of greatness, and maybe sometimes people come out of it going, oh, that wasn't that great, like, or that wasn't like everybody hyped it up so much. And it's like everybody hypes up a lot, a lot of things, so it's very hard to kind of separate the art from the artist and separate the message from the art and separate the
Well, it's funny because we're all talking about a slippery slope, right? Like the hype can be a slippery slope because your mileage may vary and what some, and then when it's a universal hype, it almost makes you wonder, is it just banal? Like
right,
when it's
right.
universal, like if everybody likes it, that's not possible. And then there's the whole question mark between when separating the art from the artist, you know, because we don't like to do that. We don't like to separate the artist from the art.
You know why or at least why I think we don't like to, is because art is such a personal expression that
Mhm.
you want to spend more time with the person that made it, in a sense, not in physical proximity or like getting to know them in person or anything, but just like I want to read an article where Quentin Tarantino got interviewed around the time of Inglourious Bastards, or I want to read uh, this retrospective oral history of Animal House, because like, you hear about John Landis being a dick and all this, so you fall in love with a piece and you're like, I want to know more about the people that made this. And
Mhm.
you do all this, like, I don't want to say research because it's not research for the sake of like an intellectual pursuit, but it's just research for the sake of I want to enrich that thing that I love so much.
I never read a review, but if I watch something or read something and then I'm like, okay, what do other people think? Then I go and I might check out
Do
reviews,
you know what my favorite thing used to be? And I don't know that they do these anymore, but I used to always love DVDs that came with audio commentary
Oh yeah.
and just sit there and watch the movie and then go back and watch the same movie with everybody talking and
Yeah, yeah.
just like the personalities involved in making it and um, the behind the scenes. Oh, this guy didn't want to, say this line, so we had to change, whatever. or whatever the case may be.
Or when people go off the rails, like I believe there's a famous one. I think Val Kilmer was in a movie called like Sentinel or something, or
Mhm.
Sentry, and apparently people just go get the DVD to listen to the DVD extra because
Uh,
he is bananas.
Apparently, Ben Affleck goes off in the Armageddon DVD commentary,
Oh, really?
and it's really, really funny.
That's funny.
But
I
I think again, and it almost goes back to what you're saying about Yaddo and meeting all these. I wouldn't say luminaries per se, but luminaries in the making, even like these people that are just
absolutely.
like on the cusp of something, or they've made this thing that is to them that thing that defines not defines but speaks to their personal aesthetic or whatever it might be. And so you're surrounded by these people for a
Hmm.
month, not even a week, a month.
Hmm. Hmm.
And some of that rubs off, and some of that perfect example. You over the past couple of episodes were talking about a movie night that you guys would do up there.
Yeah,
Where
I
you
did
guys,
about
like,
8 or 9 of them. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
and like you were like telling us what the movies were, and it'd be interesting to know if we had one of the other people that were there, with you right now. Let's say
Oh,
like,
you know what? We should probably get somebody on here. Like, I not to toot my own horn, but this time around, because again, sometimes I'm a sap and like I just can't get the group, I can't get to the chemistry right. And it's not my job to do that, but I can't help myself. I'm the guy who, founded Activate. And like, I think it might have, I don't know if it was me that wanted to do a physical studio and we got Deep Six and then Hang Die and all the, like I'm not saying I'm good at it, but I have natural leader
a knack,
proclivities, let's
like
call it, a
like
knack,
yeah,
anthologies and stuff, like, or trying to create universes with other people, whatever. Um, but like I got some really kind notes and letters, handwritten. I got like a famous writer telling me I was the best person that was like doing that job in centuries,
mm,
centuries. Um, and then there's this other woman, I think I might have mentioned her, Carol Prusa, who's a did this 30-foot long piece I might have mentioned that I did a
that you
video
mentioned,
of.
yeah.
And she was so impressed with me and my comics that she said, you know what? When I go home, I'm gonna make you a comic. Dude, yesterday got in the mail her particular art style that she uses, Silver Point, I think it's called. And she made a comic that like is very like Grant Morrison,
Wow.
like, and I was actually talking to her about Grant Morrison because her work reminded me of that. And she made her first comic and sent it to me, the original art that I'm gonna have to put in frame. Now, I I don't have it here in my
Yeah,
studio
yeah.
right now, and I wish I could show it, but it's really hard to see because it's silver point.
Yeah.
But it's beautiful, and I was like, oh my god, like just like these people influence me and make me think differently. The chef was telling me something from a book that I put into my play,
Yeah.
like, and that's what we do. And like, I guess because you and I are talking right now, and we have been in studio spaces, and it's a shame that like we weren't closer because we might do a movie night once a week or every two
Mm,
weeks,
mm.
and we would maybe try to get together. Like last night, Mike Zagari
Saw that.
sent out an email a while ago saying, "Hey, let's get together." And I thought it was going to be some industry thing, and maybe I would get a job. But no, he just wanted to hang out with his comics peeps. And there's like Neil Clyde, and there was Jamal Igle, and like Tony Wolf, and like
Ivan
a whole
Cohen, I
bunch.
think, was there.
Yeah, and Rachel Merrill, and Ivan
Yeah, a
Co.
couple
Yeah,
of people from DC, and I know Mike worked behind the scenes at DC for a while.
exactly. And then he was recently at Lab, but now he's doing his own thing, and like, and yeah, so like, it's very hot, and it took forever to find this bar, to be honest. And I was like, wait, am
Welcome
I
to
just
Brooklyn.
going to get a drink with some? I mean, that's cool, but like, but the point is, it's the spirit of it that was really
Right.
cool,
Right.
like to do that, and it would be cool because what happens normally and naturally is that we don't hang out with each other at all.
Mm,
When we're in New York, we're
mm.
all so busy and struggling to make ends meet or whatever. And then I do think it's super important. That's one of the lessons I get from Yaddo is to remember to put your pencil down and indulge each other because of what that might yield or that experience or what it does for your soul.
Yeah.
And then I had a reentry from Yaddo where I went and Jen's family, my
Mm,
girlfriend's family, her family, was celebrating their mother's birthday and her brother's son's birthday. And they had rented a really nice place. They had a hot tub. So I spent half my
Dean
time in a hot
Haspel.
tub.
All you need to do is say you got a hot tub, and Dean Haspel is there.
That's it. I'm done. It's over. That's my Comic Con, a hot tub. Um, and hung out a little bit, but it was also weird to be like around people I know now,
Hmm.
like I've known for a while, and like still thinking about like, getting little pings from the WhatsApp, group that Yaddo had to like tell
Hmm.
each other, oh, I'm running to the pool or there's a presentation tonight or whatever, and feeling that FOMO, kind of a thing. And then coming home in my first like hours back in Brooklyn, I'm putting on a suit to go meet up with Whitney
Whitney.
Matheson, to go to a Cynthia Von Bueller speakeasy dollhouse party, like
Right.
an immersive theater thing where we're drinking like alcohol out of coffee cups at, I believe that is either Dutch Schultz or Meyer Lansky's back room, like the actual space
Yeah.
with like doors that are like our bookcases that you open up and there's a hidden room
We got to
and
have
stuff like
Cynthia on
that.
here at some point too.
Oh, totally. And she'd be
She's a
great.
character.
Yeah, we got to have her on here. So then I'm doing that, and I'm just like, what is going on? Like, I went from Yaddo to like nice little country hot tub type situation. Now putting on a monkey suit and hanging out. And I guess, as much as I complain about how broke I am and, how hard it is to live in New York and do what we do, my life is really rich with other
Of
things,
course.
you
Like
know?
I don't like envy any of it because like I really appreciate that I'm far away enough from people that I can just have my life. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And not have to like living in New York is such a like a I miss it, don't get me wrong, but like it's such a head trip sometimes because I just by listening to what you just said, you were gone for a month and like I wouldn't say that your days were written out ahead of time for you. Like you knew when breakfast was, you knew when this was, whatever. But then like the second you get in, you're just bing, 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 like Ricochet Rabbit, just
Yep.
jumping all over the place. And I can't, and then, and it's made me think like, I don't think Dean realizes his life is already like that. You know what I mean? Like you're already, like when we were setting this up, you're like, hey, I got a hard out, at 7:25. So
Right.
whatever the case may be, so because you got to be somewhere else tonight. And it's like,
Yeah,
Dean, you're always that busy. And I think you don't realize it as
I
much
don't.
because you weren't as busy there. Like you were, it's crazy because like you would think when we were talking about like the Knicks on one of the episodes,
Right.
winning the championship, I was like, do you regret not being around for that energy? And you're like, a little bit, I guess, or not really, or
hmm
you weren't very
hmm
committal about it and stuff.
hmm
And it's more interesting to me that you miss your solitude more than you miss your kind of everyday active,
hmm
never stop
hmm
moving like life.
Because you know why? I stood still and actually looked at things and
Yeah.
heard things. I put up a picture where I was kind of joking, where I'm looking at a statue at Yaddo, and I'm like, they're whispering things to me,
Yeah, I remember
and
that.
like somebody wrote back like, listen to what they have to say, kind of a thing, like, and you don't, like, I don't know, I guess you have you have to stop sometimes and appreciate what's in front of you. I have to appreciate what I have here, but also I want to elevate my life a little bit more. I want it to I want to have a little bit better quality of life. And Yaddo reminded me, not that that's how I could have it, but maybe you change things a little bit. Like what you get to have, Vito, I don't have. You get to, for better or for worse, hang out with your kids and your
I love it.
wife and do dinner. I don't have that at all. So I'm
Mhm.
constantly filling my empty space by coming up with stories or
Sure.
trying to go do something, or try to, like tonight, the hard out is because Jen's sister is in town, and we're gonna go see Toy Story 5 at
Mm,
8:30. Like, why not? And in fact, I can't wait to see that because I think the Toy Story movies are awesome.
they're great.
But and I think I might have mentioned this to you off camera, but I saw Disclosure Day, the new Spielberg
Yes, you
movie.
did. You mentioned it yesterday.
It's unbelievable. It's so good. I can't wait for you to see it so we can talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
And especially you, because well, I don't want to spoil much, but it's a conversation piece,
Mm.
and it's really good. It's really good. So I hope you get to see that. I finished Spider Noir. Did you see the whole thing?
Not yet. I actually, funny enough, last night they dropped the first three episodes of the X-Men '97 animated series.
I never watched that.
I watched the first one last night. It was really good. Like, especially,
Yeah.
I mean, I was reading the X-Men in the '80s and '90s like religiously. Like,
Hmm.
it was Bible for me. You know what I mean? So
Right.
it's cool to watch. And I got to remind myself when we get to Baltimore, I have to ask Louise Simonson a very specific question because it's
Mm.
something that she created in X Factor, I think. And I want
Hmm.
to ask her about it, like, and just like
Hmm.
kind of like pick out her ear a little bit. But the first
So
episode,
wait, let me just ask. X-Men '97. I think that's when around the time I checked out right after I think the Morlocks. Is that Ramita Jr. maybe?
yeah.
And then before Silvestri and before Bishop. So I don't know anything about Bishop.
Mhm.
Uh, who's the guy that stormed? Was a guy named Forge or
Yep.
something?
That was a
Where, was
very
that a
good.
Barry Windsor Smith
Mhm.
kind of X-Men comic, right? So I might have read that, but like I was out after that. I mean, my X-Men essentially is Claremont Byrne.
I was gonna say all
Like
Claremont,
Paul
Byrne,
Smith,
Cockrum,
Cockrum, and Ramita Jr.
and
Yeah,
Paul Smith.
and
That's
Paul Smith, right?
and the cartoon really, it's funny because like all of the characters that are in it are post Byrne creations.
Right.
They're Jim Lee creations, maybe one or two Silvestri guys, or at least ones that Silvestri worked on exclusively. And they've done adaptations of comics from the Byrne era. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's really weird. But what they're doing now is they're doing kind of like the apocalypse stuff, which is what Louise and Walter were doing with X Force and
Yeah, and I didn't read that stuff either. Apocalypse was a character that, again, I don't even know. He's called Apocalypse.
yep,
Is he an apocalypse? Like, what is he? Is
he
he the
is
end of time?
he is
Like,
the first mutant.
oh, right, he's the first. Oh, and by the way, when they used him in the X-Men movie, Oscar Isaac, right, played him. He
Mhm.
could look more bored, and it kind of had nothing to do but sit around and just be Apocalypse. I'm
And
like,
just not move his head.
it just sucked, Like, I mean, whatever. But
Anyway,
just going back to Spider Noir,
yeah,
very stylized, a lot of fun. Once you listen, I love Nicolas Cage, and he does bring his A game at times, and he really had a lot of fun. And actually, everyone in it had fun, and I can see how that can irk some people. But I thought, no, this was a good take on it. And again, I never read the source material,
the
so
thing for me is a lot of people appreciate Nicolas Cage's more wacky leanings, I guess. And
Looney Tune. He's a Looney Tune.
yeah, and he's become more of a Looney Tune as he's gotten older because he's almost playing with type, like not being
Mm,
typecast per se, but if they want Nicolas Cage, they want this type of,
right, right.
character. So I find that easier to digest in smaller pieces, like in Hitman. I'm sorry, not Hitman, Kick-Ass. Um,
Right.
but when
Right.
it's an entire series of him being Nicolas Cage, it's a little like I got to take
It's
it.
still a lot of times. I get
Yeah,
it.
I got to take it in parts. Like it's not like something I can absorb. It's not. It's like the opposite of how I feel about Curb Your Enthusiasm. I could watch that because it's uncomfortable and
Hmm.
funny and like
Hmm.
familiar to me.
Hmm.
But like Nicolas Cage being like it feels put on. It feels like an act.
It can be because he is like being performative, like beyond. But if you want to see outrageous Nicolas Cage, watch Mandy. If you want to see subtle Nicolas Cage, watch Pig.
Right.
And I'm talking about more recent works,
Yeah.
I think when he did Ghost Rider, maybe the second one, there was some funny scenes. You're like, wow, They like he did that in front of people and they recorded it.
Somebody told me that the Ghost Rider movies are so bad they're good. Like
Yes.
like
Yes.
they're not like guilty pleasures, but they're like, if you just shut your brain off and just like have fun,
Yeah.
you'll
Yeah.
enjoy them. And I'm like, I'm still
Yes.
waiting to watch them. I would like to watch them at some point.
Right.
But
Right.
it's not
I
like
um started watching the did you watch The Bear? Do you watch The Bear?
I don't.
Oh, it's great. You should watch it sometime. Uh I've been watching the new season. Not much to say except you ever watch a show and you're like, yeah, I'm ready for this to end. It's a great show. It's very ambient, but I'm ready for them to wrap this up. Let's wrap this up.
What
Let's
is
do this.
what do you mean by it's very ambient? Like, because in my head that means something, but in your head it might mean,
Dude, some of the episodes are literally MTV music videos. Like
huh?
they're like, and that's part of the charm, I think, of the show is that it does. I always thought that Mad Men was semi-ambient, where like you have a lot of flavor and a lot of things happening, but there was like what was that episode about? I have no idea, you
I think
know?
the problem with Mad Men, I watched the entirety of Mad Men, and I think I might have gotten at some point to that point where you're like, I'm ready for this to end.
Hmm.
But the thing about Mad Men that kept me watching was the fascination I had with there's no character in this show, with the exception of maybe three of the women, that is redeeming in any sense of the word.
Yeah, I mean that
You
was
know,
kind of the point, the misogyny of,
and not that, not even the misogyny. It's just that, like, even when you get past that, and you get past the uh, Don Draper stealing his identity from somebody, or whatever,
right.
there's still nothing to root about. Like, why do I want him to succeed? Do I want him to succeed?
Well, that's a good question for a lot of characters. Like actually, Breaking Bad, you're supposed to technically not like this guy.
That was the one I was going to bring up. Like, I have yet to watch that because I have such a, I wouldn't call it an aversion, but to the, like, I didn't watch The Sopranos often. I caught a couple of episodes. Like,
Hmm.
I want someone to, like, when I'm watching something, I want to know that my investment of emotion is well placed
Hmm.
in such and such a character. I ended up liking the John Slattery character on Mad Men because
Yeah, he's great.
he's a great actor, and like he's just fun to watch.
Yeah,
It's
he's great.
and
I had a nice parlay with him. He was at a Yaddo event,
hmm,
and then we got friendly, and he gave me his email, and I was emailing him back and forth, and we had an idea for him to play a certain character, which I can tell you off camera. I might have already told you that. And then I would send him comic books and stuff, and very cool guy. Like,
yeah,
and you're right. Out of those characters, he was one that was kind of
right.
redeeming, you know. Well,
And
although I would say that Don Draper's character tries to redeem himself by the very end.
yes, like there's the whole season where he's in California and he trips on acid and he almost drowns and stuff, and he comes to come to Jesus moment and stuff like that.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
there's parts of that, but I think that um Roger, the Slattery's character, I
right.
think his character is consistent, and there's no wishy-washiness. You know what I mean? Like he is who he is from the very first episode to his very last episode.
But also the women are the ones who rise and prevail,
Right,
or if they can,
right.
like so it is a lot about them. Trying to think of, I think do yourself a favor. I know I haven't done it with The Sopranos yet or The Wire, and I need to watch both of them, and I have both of them. I really need to start watching them. But I was going to say, do yourself a favor, watch Breaking Bad, and then watch Better Call Saul. Just do
As
yourself
soon
a
as
favor.
I'm sure at some point in the near future, I'm probably going to re-subscribe to Netflix. Probably around the time that the Brad Pitt, Quentin Tarantino character movie comes out.
Oh, right, right, right.
Um, and when I do that, I'll probably
Cliff
start.
Booth, Cliff
What's
Booth,
that?
I think.
Cliff Booth, yes. Like, so I'll probably jump into Breaking Bad around the same time. I don't want to give Netflix my money, but that's probably the best reason
I
to.
know, man. I know. Well, I actually was joking that Netflix is one of our gods.
Huh, in a sense.
It's like a god. It's like it's insane. I watched two comedies specials recently.
Yeah.
One
Like
is
stand
for
up,
free, huh?
stand up, like stand up
Stand,
comedy.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Patton Oswalt's Tea
That's
and
on YouTube.
Scotch. It's on YouTube, so it comes with ads, but it's free and it's great. I love Patton Oswalt. And then one that you might decide to not watch,
Hmm.
Louis C.K. Ridiculous.
Yeah. God, there's only so much, so many discussions about how to masturbate around, like where your kids aren't that I can take. Do you know what I mean?
And it's funny. Whitney asked me today because she's not she was a fan that's not much of a fan right now. All right, and I'm like, she's like, does he even mention the thing? And I said he did that the last two or three
Yeah,
episodes,
the thing.
stand-ups, and like people weren't that happy because his joke was like, and Obama knows what I did, kind of a thing. But like, what ultimately, yes, what he did was bad, and this brings up the conversation of the art and the artist, and in this case, the art and the artist are the same thing. Like
But
that's
keep,
not.
but remember what I said many, many moons ago. Like, how do you separate the art from the artist? I've always said that the second I find out about your indiscretions, your art is never going to move forward from that.
Oh,
Um,
interesting.
I
Well, how do you feel about Michael Jackson?
I was just about to say, I adore Michael Jackson, but I've never listened to anything beyond bad. You
Interesting.
know what I mean? Like,
But one could argue and say that he was doing a lot of whatever he supposedly was doing, allegedly doing,
mm,
but while from the music you admire.
but that's not when I found out. I found
Mm-hmm,
out after the well, maybe not bad. Dangerous, I think, would be the album
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
with "Leave Me Alone" and "Remember the Time" and stuff.
How
So,
apropos. No, but it is a weird thing. I listen, I was just talking about somebody that angers me here at the studio down the hall, a situation I won't get into right now. But I'm also like, oh wait, if I'm going to give certain artists and creators a leeway for redemption, whatever that means to me, a non-religious person, but a second chance, let's call it, then I got to give the person down the hall a second chance to stop being so pissed off and communicate. Also it's
Right.
about when you're able to communicate to somebody and say, hey, versus someone that you're probably never going to meet that you're buying their product.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like people are always like, well, if you don't like it, you don't have to buy it. I'm like, yeah, I know. So I'm not
Yeah,
gonna buy it.
right.
Like, but the other thing too is that um and it's not really an argument per se. It's just I might be wrong. Like maybe I'm wrong for even giving them that much leeway. Do you know what I mean? Like, but at the same time, um, I do like a lot of movies that Harvey Weinstein produced.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
I do enjoy uh, the three Woody Allen movies around Manhattan. Like
yeah,
Manhattan,
yeah,
Annie
yeah.
Hall, and Interiors. I really enjoy those three movies. So does that make me an enabler? Maybe, but I mean, I
Right.
don't I don't worship at the feet of Woody Allen, even though I did write a very nice article about him on Trip City many years ago.
I remember that. Well, that's what I mean, man. Like I feel like what does the library of all the non what's the word? Not criminal. The good people. What's that library look like of all
Hmm.
the good? And I know there's a lot of good people. I
You
I
know,
get it.
it's funny. Like I love classic rock music. I love Led Zeppelin. I love the Rolling Stones. I love the Beatles. Not a one of them are innocent of anything. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Like whether it
Sure.
be drug use, abusing their partners, uh,
Right.
the having sex with minors, like, and I still listen to them, like I don't know that my philosophy of when I found because they stopped making music. The Rolling Stones still make music, but it's not like
Mm-hmm.
as prevalent as it was in the 70s or 80s.
Right.
But yeah.
Well, I brought up Louis C.K. because it was like, oh, Patton Oswalt, oh, Louis C.K. and he's on Netflix.
Hmm.
So like he's back, baby. Just
Yeah,
like
that's
people
crazy.
didn't want Chappelle on Netflix. Was it Netflix? Like the same kind of well, it's not the same, but different, arguments, as it were. And I watch them all, like I'm
I agree with Chappelle's argument that comedians are. I don't agree with him like going after trans people and more most people call it punching down.
right.
I don't agree with that, but I do agree that comedy is something that should be immune from not censorship per se, but it should be immune from a lot of the criticisms that we hold for, say, politicians. Like
Hmm.
politicians should know better than to insult their constituents, whether or not they realize that those people voted for them or didn't vote for them.
Right.
They should treat all their constituents equally because they represent those people too.
Right.
I don't think comedians represent anybody but themselves. So
Right.
I think that when Dave says that it's the last frontier of free speech, I think he's right. Like
Yeah. Agreed.
I don't know that I could argue against that. Do you know what I
Well,
mean?
and it's supposed to be provocative and
Right,
supposed
right.
to maybe piss you off or, you
There
know,
was I don't know that I don't think I sent it to you, but there was a comedian who was doing crowd work that I saw on not Netflix, Instagram, and he was making up a rap song as he went, and
hmm
it was about these two people in the audience who were Jewish, pro-Israel, pro-Zionism, and it was just
hmm
like and they were the only two people, and like everybody in the place was just like enjoying it and stuff. Those two people were just not happy,
Right.
and
Right.
I
Right.
think the point that I guess I'm trying to make is that yeah, you should feel free to go after the big dogs, like go after, our president has the thinnest skin of anybody, and he insults people on a daily basis. Yet he can't take a late night talk show host just saying a joke about him. Like, what a pussy.
Man, well, I have something to say
But
about
that's what I
him
mean.
because,
Like,
yeah,
they should feel free to. And since I was a kid, Jimmy Carter was like Gerald Ford on Saturday Night Live, Richard Nixon, Ronald Reagan, George Bush, all of them. Since I've been alive, every single president has basically ignored pop culture because pop culture would use them as fodder for their art.
right,
Would be
right,
Jack Kirby doing,
right,
like the stuff in Captain America, or whether it be
right,
uh, Richard Pryor making fun of Nixon or whatever. They've
right.
always, and so to not be able to attack is the wrong word, but not be able to use your art to be provocative against the greater figures in our world to criticize them is censorship of the greatest degree. That being said, I don't really care about Louis C.K. jerking off.
Yeah,
And that's
yeah,
and that's the bulk of, at least the last time I watched a stand-up special, is that's the bulk of his conversation is the fact that
right.
he's bald, he's ugly, he's old, and he can't jerk off. Like, I've seen it. All right, cool. Oh, we're gonna
Yeah,
talk about this again. All
yeah.
right, good.
But it's funny. What's funny is that he was much more nuanced for so many years,
I
right?
think I would agree with that. I mean,
Absolutely. Like the Louis C.K. show or whatever it was called is
Louis, yeah,
fabulous. Louis is great. And then the show he did that he self-financed,
mhm,
great. But and then I think he got stuck in this spot where
yeah,
he's like, I have to I fucked up. I I'm I lost a lot of, goodwill. And then he didn't really apologize because I don't think anybody knows how to apologize right. I just don't know. I
I
don't know if
agree with that.
anybody's ever done the apology that everyone loves, you
No one,
know?
yet no one ever apologizes um, to the satisfaction of the greater good. Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
It's like, well, you didn't say this. You didn't mention these people. You didn't,
Yeah, I
you
know
know,
you
like,
forgot this, and you're a narcissist and blah blah blah. Anyway, I was gonna say when Whitney asked, like, did he mention it? And I was like, first of all, he already did his version of talking about quote it
mm,
already. But I will say this: the entire special is just him. He is what he is. Do you know what I mean? Like, if he's the guy that's a little pervy and little of that, that's how he comes off now. He
yeah,
is just a, a stand-up pervert, if that makes sense, you know.
end up
And
pervert.
people used to say he was hiding in plain sight the entire time, you know, in that regard. What gets me whenever we talk about, like, you know, people who get canceled, or people who get, you know, uh pushed to the side because of indiscretions, I still don't understand one thing. If you could help me out with this, if you happen to know the answer.
Okay.
Okay. um Army Hammer. Okay.
Okay.
Now, apparently, Army Hammer was kind of a dick or an asshole to some people. I don't know what it was. I never really did the homework. But the thing that I don't get is, how is he a cannibal? Because he wrote, I want to eat you or something, and that makes you a fucking cannibal? Like, maybe that's the way he throws base. You know what I'm saying? He's like, yo, I'm going to eat that. I'm going to eat you up, girl. Like,
Uh,
what? Are you kidding me? And by the way, do people really think he's a fucking cannibal? Like, that's just stupid to me.
it's it is what it is. I know that the fallout with him started over a breakup. Um, I believe he was stepping out on his wife, or at least not his wife, the mother of his children, and that person revealed those texts and stuff like that. Um, so you could. I had a conversation yesterday at work about our boy Eddie Piskor
Uh,
and about almost about the same thing about the court of public opinion and
yeah.
about how the guy that I work with, he's a fledgling comic book creator, and he's reading, and he was reading X-Men Grand Design on his break, and I was like, hey, do you know Ed? And like that's how we started talking about it, and it's very weird how 2 years gone that Ed's not with us anymore, or about 2 years, and the accusations were never proven. The accusations were never adjudicated. And it's like somehow or other, everyone moved on. Like, and
That's what happens, Vito.
I don't find that to be, that's not, this is the best way I can put it. I don't see justice in this. And
No, it's a murder suicide.
I
It's
don't
a murder
mean,
suicide. And Don Simpson, of all people,
yeah,
Megaton Man fame, is still litigating this in his heart and his mind, trying to
yeah,
figure this
on
out.
his Substack, he does.
And
Yeah.
he writes about this, you
Mhm.
know, extensively.
And I feel like when you're looking at the whole Louis C.K. thing, um, Army Hammer, Jonathan Majors, who played Kang, all these different people. Uh, Ed doesn't get mentioned, and I don't think that's right because I think Ed, gets forgotten. Maybe we don't want to mention Ed in the same light as these guys, but at the same time, we need to be able to separate somehow his situation from all the other situations, and
I think ultimately people came around because most of the women I spoke to were like, "That's a nothing burger." What do you mean? Like, he kind of groomed somebody from online, like. And even Ed, when I spoke to him, was like, I mean, of course, he was defending himself, but he was talking to me privately. He could have told me in what his response did not align with what she was saying. You know what I'm saying? And that's some stuff I can keep off record because I don't want to get into it, and I don't want someone to take a clip from our show and suddenly be passing this all around. You know,
sure,
like,
sure.
it was a personal conversation, but and I believed him. You know, and I mean, the guy I was talking to, Big Bad Ed Piskor, these days, hip hop, was the nerdy kid that I met the first time. You know, like, so yeah,
Hey,
he put on a persona, you know, but that's what a lot of nerds do when they get popular, you know?
I put it this way to the dude I was talking to at work. Um, I believe that the truth lies somewhere in the middle. That maybe Ed said something that was misconstrued. Maybe uh, a word got misinterpreted for an action,
Hmm.
or for a intent.
Hmm.
And that could be the case. It happens to people all the time. Like we miss you and I have this joke. There is a Key and Peele sketch where they're texting each other, and when we used to have the studio, you would text me that you were coming on your way, and then I would text you, and then somehow we got into a fight in our texts, and it didn't make any sense what the fight was. And then you show up and we're both like, well, what's going on? And Key and Peele did this sketch where Jordan is just like happy-go-lucky, do like, oh, and then Keegan is like losing his mind over
Yeah.
like him not taking it, like, oh, we can
Right.
have a drink or whatever,
Right.
like that kind
Right.
of.
Right. Right. Right.
It happens all the time. People misconstrue,
Yes.
especially in text and email and stuff. Like, there's no voice behind it. There's no
Well,
inflection.
one of the things that also alarmed me about Ed Piskor, the reaction to Ed Piskor, not only his last week alive, but afterwards, which was shocking. But the amount of people that just went to town on him,
That
like,
wrote him
who the
off immediately.
fuck are you?
Like they wrote
And
him
that's
off
what he was responding to as well. Like, what just happened? And I guarantee if I die, I hope people will miss me, but guarantee people will come out and be like, that motherfucker was an
yeah.
asshole for this and that. And it's just
Yeah.
like, okay, thanks.
Yeah, I think
You know, like,
I think
or the minute you do something a little wrong, like, then suddenly people are like, I knew that about that person the whole time. Like, okay,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah,
you know.
I
And then
feel
by the
like
way, give it a week or two, and unless it's like some big story, you're gone. It's a race onto the next. Just like you said, we're not
yep.
talking about him anymore.
Yeah, and like I was saying, it was so quickly adjudicated in the court of public opinion, guilty, that's it, no more conversation. And Ed had to live with that for 3 or 4 days, and then ultimately decided that he was not going to live with that anymore. And I just, man, like just an extra day, man. If he would have just had an extra day just of insight, he would have maybe still been with us. You know what I mean? Like,
Or more people saying, hold up a second, wait a second,
yeah,
because
like
people get afraid and they would duck out. There were people I know that unfriended him because they didn't want to be
I
associated.
saw that happening in real time on
And he talked
Facebook.
to me about that as well. And I was like, fuck. And I kept thinking, you can't help but wonder what if that happened to you.
Mhm.
Like, how would you react? And he lost so many things that week, like big
Yeah,
major
yeah,
things.
yeah, yeah.
It
It's
was
it's
one
been
after another. Uh, anyway, I don't want to make it all
no, no.
about Ed, obviously.
That's yeah. That's a. I don't know how we got on to. We talk about Army Hammer and
I think because I was wondering, like, how is he a cannibal? Has he eaten a human being? Like, what are you talking about?
hey Dean, do we know he hasn't? I
We
mean,
don't know.
that's it again. Like this, but it was based on a lover of his that either he broke up with or she broke up with him over these texts, and she thought it was weird.
But do
And
me a favor and say Army Hammer to somebody, and they're going to be like the cannibal. They're not going to say a movie he made or Lone Ranger or Say My Name or whatever the hell,
only by your name.
Yeah, like he is a cannibal. That's how like that's what he's reduced to. Like, are you
Hey
kidding
Michelle, do you
me?
know who Army Hammer is? No, she doesn't know who he is. Arm and Hammer, she called him.
Well, you know what?
His
That's
family, yeah, that's his family.
that's his legacy.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so a couple other things, and then I know you had one for me, I think. I did recently draw I'm going to be a guest at IC3 in Jacksonville on July 11th in Florida. And I was asked to, as part of being a guest, to come up do a drawing. The last time I was at IC3, they asked me to do a drawing. I did Absolute Batman, that was auctioned off and made some money. And then this one, I did a quick one of Superman, Absolute
Absolutely.
Superman, Although I'm realizing his head is way too big,
Ah,
but whatever.
yeah.
And
That
I had not read Absolute, so I had to look him up, and I was like, "What? Who? What's I? Wow, okay,
I
I don't know
mean,
what's going on."
Jason
He's
Aaron's
got long
doing
hair,
he's doing some awesome stuff there. Like with if you're a fan of DC Comics, especially the main continuity mythology, the
right?
things that he's doing with like Ra's al Ghul, Lazarus,
Right?
and Brainiac is coming,
Mm-hmm.
Hawkman, and
Mm-hmm.
Black Adam. The things that he's doing, Steel, another one.
Right?
The things that
Right?
he's doing with these characters within the scope of that universe are
Right?
really compelling. Like,
Right?
I haven't read all of it, so I can't, endorse all of it. But the things that I've read, I really,
Right? Right? I also got in the mail
hey,
the art of Eduardo Risso, the co-creator and artist of 100 Bullets with Brian Azzarello, a whole bunch of other comics, including Batman. And he did a really fun Batman comic with Azzarello,
mhm,
where if I recall, I spoke to Brian Azzarello about this. But apparently Brian wrote a line that when one of the Christopher Nolan movies was coming out, maybe the first one, he wrote a line of dialogue that the editor or somebody higher up said, "We have to take that line out because it might be used in the movie." And they're like, "What?" And he's like, "But that's the crux of my whole story is this one line of dialogue." So apparently they had to take it out. I believe, I could be getting this wrong. And you know what the line of dialogue was?
but
So Bruce Wayne is coming out of the theater with the parents going down the dark alley, and he's being a little rich kid brat, and he decides uh, he wants to do something, and they're not going to let him do it. They just took him to the movies, and maybe he wanted to go get ice cream or something. I forget what it was, and they deny him, and he gets pissed off, and he says, "I hate you." And then the guy shows up with the gun, kills his parents. And the last thing Bruce Wayne ever said to his parents is, "I hate you."
yeah,
And I think Christopher Nolan, or like I said, one of those guys, it might have been Nolan, I think had a similar sentiment or something. And I don't know if that stayed in the movie or not. I can't remember right now. And I don't
no,
think he was able to use it in his comic. But I thought, wow, the last thing you said to you, and like that's part of the reason you become Batman.
yeah.
That's pretty intense.
For those watching, if you want to read Brian Azzarello and Eduardo Risso's Batman story, it's called Broken City.
Mhm.
It's also been collected in kind of not an omnibus, but like an oversized, I think, hardcover edition. But go to your local comic shop, you'll be able to find it. It's
I'd also
really
recommend
fantastic.
I would also recommend. I mean, I recommend almost everything that Brian Azzarello writes, but also he did a great. His collaborations with Richard Corbin
Hmm.
are unbelievable. Cage, his Luke Cage
Yeah.
series, Banner, his Hulk miniseries, fantastic. Um, I still have a little bit of a list here. I just have like two more things really. I wanted to. I'll do the serious one, and then I'll do what's kind of funny next. Um, my father lost his Medicaid yesterday because of Trump.
Yeah.
And apparently 450,000 New Yorkers of lost Medicaid yesterday. And he's an 88-year-old bedridden man that like what happened was that the guy that comes 3 days a week to like hang out with my dad to make sure he's okay, whatever, and have some kind of company because he's alone and lonely.
Mhm.
He lives 3.5 hours away from me, basically. So it's like I can't go see him on the regular. Um, he the whatever the person that sees him, social worker, I don't know, gets a phone call from the company saying, you have to leave now. And he's like, why? He's like, because Mr. Haspel doesn't have Medicaid anymore. Like they literally
That's
got
insane.
like
But they actually said that.
there was an alarm that went off, and this person was making phone call after phone call and releasing people of their jobs. And my dad was like, wait, what happened? And then he was freaking out, obviously. And I was like, what are you talking about? And then I found this article, I think it was either yesterday or today, I can't remember, And I was like, what is going on? Meanwhile, Trump is flying like the most expensive airplane ever made and making billions of dollars. And it is so disgusting. I know that anyone listening to this show or watching it agrees.
Mm.
Okay. Even if you voted for him, you have to agree. It's just getting worse and worse and worse. And how are you doing this to old people right now? And then I I did find a number for Medicaid today. I asked my dad to call up because he has to advocate for himself if he can. He called up and apparently he said that they found his case. Yes, it was ended July 1st, just out of the blue like that. But apparently it might get reinstated September 1st, which means he loses July and August. For why? What reason?
Yeah.
And like, is it because that's how long it takes the lawyers to reinstate something for everyone? Like, what is going on? We're killing our people,
I've said
like
I've said it for I don't know how long. Like the oligarchy class, the rich, the millionaire class, whatever you want to call them, they just want the rest of us dead or in debt to them. That's all it is.
it's it's horrific. It's horrific.
Speaking
I
of,
also want to warn people. What you gonna?
not, I didn't know if you were done.
I got one more, and I don't know if I can show this to you. I'm gonna try and show it to you. Try not to ever get a Matt Berkowitz in your phone.
Hmm.
Do you know what a Matt Berkowitz is?
No, I know Matt Champagne. Oh boy, what is that?
So I just get texts from him once in a while like that. Like, why? So Matt Berkowitz is a guy who was in like college at SUNY Purchase for like a
Hmm.
year or two. And he is insane. And I would tell this to his face. I've told him on text, like, you're crazy. But just a Sunday out of the blue, it's like me sending you a picture of my balls, except this is a dude's face. And
So
I'm
he
sorry.
faces balls. Okay, great.
Like there's my balls right there. Um, is he wearing a crucifix? But he's
He's definitely sitting
Jewish.
on the toilet.
Doing something, man. He looks like Congarilla, like, and I know he's fucking with me on purpose. Like I know it. Like this is his sense of humor. And in some ways that's what I like about it. But like try never to get a Matt Berkowitz in your phone.
Fair enough. I just wanted to share something that I got last night that is pertinent to kind of all this Trump talk that we're talking about. And I'm just going to share it real quick.
Oh yeah. Ooh.
This is
Semi-quincentennial. That's a word.
well, that's what the 250th anniversary is, semi-quincentennial.
Semi-quincentennial. That's almost like who did the song Hey Ya, Hey
Oh,
Ya?
Outcast.
It's like almost like an outcast word, semi-quincentennial.
It's a real thing. But yeah,
Wow.
there you go. The special. This is going to be for The Beast Within. This is the third cover C. This one is the one that I think I will probably end up selling exclusively at
It's
Baltimore.
great. It's
Like,
great.
like I don't think it's going to be because the semi-quincentennial is from July 4th to
Right.
July 4th. It wouldn't make sense to sell it. Maybe at conventions between Baltimore and July 4th of next year, but this one is definitely,
I think you could sell it this year if you can print it because it's the year of.
yeah, yeah.
Now my only note is I don't know if I love the stray over the fist.
Hmm.
You're almost losing the power. I know you have one fist to the left, and I don't know. I mean, it's so packed. It's hard to find a spot. And then I'm wondering if the semi quincentennial blurb is sitting too hot on the on the
If you look at the
Little
original,
American
that's
Eagle Deck.
exactly how
Oh,
it
is
is.
that how they
Yeah,
did it too?
like all of it. Yeah. So
Right, right.
the only difference is the blurb
How
would
much leeway do you have above Stray?
say what?
How much leeway do you have above Stray?
The
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 logo.
logo, the logo stray.
Yeah, the logo Stray.
I mean, pretty good, but I mean, there's going to be a band across the top.
Oh, there is. I would say maybe that's where, but if you're paying homage strictly, then yeah, that's how it
Yeah,
is.
what I was going to say is that only Stray can save it. That blurb on the original, that's Cap's shield hand, so it would be over the
Right,
shield. So
right, right. Oh, right, right, right. Yeah, that looks great. I know you would ask me about inking it, but honestly, I think it's done. Like it, if you can tweak it a little bit, although I like the way it fades out in the bottom, with those
Mhm.
characters. Um, Matt did such a great job with
Yes, this
this.
is Matt Major. I should mention that.
Sorry, Matt Major.
Mhm.
It's awesome.
He's actually going to do. He's going to have the ink. He's going to have it like darkened up a little bit. Um, you know, I think I might color it in flats, like to be, as nature intended.
Absolutely.
So
Black color, baby. 64 color palette, I think it went
yeah.
back.
So I'll,
You
I'll
know,
probably color it, and then it'll be done. But again, that's going to be for Baltimore in the next, I want to say, month or so. I will be running like a very quick campaign just to pay for, it's already paid for, but just to pay
right,
for it. So
right. No, it's awesome. How many things do you have planned to drop at Baltimore?
just two.
Okay. Pay
That
the
and
devil.
yeah, I would love to have Raptorix done, but that one I think I might have to end up doing a crowdfunding campaign for as well. But
Okay.
there's just not enough time to do all of it. So I'm just
I
going to
hear you.
that and pay the devil. Pay the devil. Uh, I showed you confidentially the cover that we're going with. So
Yeah. Yeah, I
so
can't wait for that to be done, man. People see that book. So
that book is insane. Like he sent me a page of one of the characters' deaths. I don't think that's a spoiler saying that somebody
no,
died. But
character's done.
he sent me a page, and I was like, I want that artist on every page. Like
Yeah.
it was beautiful, like literally beautiful. It's somebody dying in a
Yeah.
very, very public way, and it was just
Right.
like, man, that's just gorgeous.
That's cool. That's
That's Steve
cool.
Walker, everybody. He will be
Yep.
at our booth at Baltimore. If you look below, you can get tickets for Baltimore now.
Yep.
We have a link down there. We also have a link for donations for our T-shirt. You know, I posted about. I opened up a can of worms, Dean. I posted on Reddit, our favorite, about Baltimore, and I was like, hey, guys, come meet me. And they're like, and somebody goes, um, yeah, man, definitely. I'll come and see you. And I was like, mention Reddit and I'll give you something for free. And then somebody goes, I'll come and I'll do that. And I'm like, oh
Oh,
man, I'm already doing. There's already three.
oh no.
So I'll have
Wait, what would
something.
you give for free? I mean, are you doing like coins or something? I forget.
No, we're not giving those away, but I do have stickers and magnets and stuff. Like I have stuff to give away. So I'm not.
Right.
And I think Matt Major, it's actually going to do a couple little postcard
Oh,
drawings with
cool.
Stray. So
Cool.
because he wanted to be there, but he's not unable to go. Um,
Right.
but yeah, so Baltimore, is going to be a big deal for us this year.
And you know what? Well, we'll talk about like, maybe, but business cards or little cards are very cheap to make. If you were to like do something on that size
Yeah,
as a little kind of freebie that you only get to people given the no kind of thing or
yeah, yeah.
something. I don't
And
know.
like, I mean, there's Dean's alarm. We got to go.
Sorry, guys.
So thank you everybody for joining us. Shut up, Dean. You're done talking. That's your alarm actually says no more talking. Uh, thank you for joining us for number 77. Next week we'll be back with number 78. We're going to have guests back on relatively soon. We're going to work that out. Hopefully, San Diego Comic Con is July 23rd to the 28th. So that week we should probably have one or two guests. I will be in New York from July 10th to the 20th. So get ready to see me in a different room in 2 weeks. And Dean and I,
With hair, lots of hair.
yeah, for sure. And then yeah, in 2 weeks, done. And Dean and I will probably get together, and you guys will hear all about that as well. And yeah, keep on keeping on, people. We appreciate you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Have a good night. We love you. And Dean, I'll talk to you soon.
Yep.
All right. Good night.
Night.